This episode of the Party Loaded podcast is proudly sponsored by Audible.com. Check out their awesome catalogue of audiobooks with over 180,000 titles to choose from. And be sure to grab a free audiobook on us and support the show by visiting audibletrial.com/endgame.
Let's party.
Hello, welcome to Party Loaded episode 62 for Wednesday, the 1st of February 2017. Pinching a punch for the first of the month, and pinching and punching three of my friends here tonight to talk about all of their video game fun during the week. We have Jam. Hello.
I just had flashback to primary school.
Oh, really?
I was not expecting that.
Was that a thing back then for you as well? I wonder how they get away with that these days.
Isn't it if you say white rabbits, it's not a thing? Then they get bad luck or something?
No. All right, the voice you can hear is Imogen, of course, and we have Ollie here as well. Hello, Ollie.
The voice of reason.
Yeah.
Ollie, do you have a clue what we're talking about?
I'm well aware we're
You youngling?
No. The big thing when back in the day, when schools were in black and white, and we used to use grease pencils.
Yes.
Yeah.
What the hell are grease pencils?
Don't even ask. There was a game that we used to play, by the way, which was like the equivalent, called Barcode. Did you guys ever play Barcode? Was that a thing when you were at school?
Barcode was banned by the time I got to Western Australia.
Okay, cool. So, long story short, Barcode was basically a game you used to play out in the yard at school, where you took like a choc milk container or a milk carton container of some sort, that you basically mash the top down, so it's almost like a dice type object, so six-sided, flat edges that you could basically, boop up into the air, and people had to sort of knock it around in a circle and prevent it from touching the ground. And if it did hit the ground, and if it lands Barcode side up, then the person who touched it last basically gets hit in the arm by each of the other people playing, and that was Barcode. So it was kind of like a slightly more, action-packed version of Pinch and Punch for the first of the month, dates excluded, essentially. So,
all right.
Yeah.
So to give you an idea, Pinch and Punch was medieval times, and White Rabbits was 1909.
Really?
Thank you. White rabbits is a thing.
So old.
Yeah, white rabbits had to be the first thing that
Pinch
you
and
said.
Punch is the whole salt, like a pinch of salt sort of thing.
Yeah.
Punch to, banish the witch, that sort of stuff. So it's all about witches and shit.
The more you know. That's really interesting. I did not realize that. Oh.
That sums up my free time. I go, what's that saying? Where did that come from?
Yeah,
I'm going to look it up. That is a lot of my spare time.
Interesting. Pinch and a punch. Cool. Oh, that was good to know.
Salt and punch the witch.
Salt and punch the witch. Assault the witch is what we're doing.
There you go.
We're all about that. All right. Well, anyway, assaulting the witch. We'll talk about Resident Evil again shortly.
Not like witches.
First, I'm really keen to hear from you guys about a little title that we've been waiting on that I know that you've all jumped on and played in the last couple of days. So how is the release of Goatpunks, guys? How did that go?
Goatpunks.
It was really good.
So cute.
Yeah, I had a couple of goes on it just myself, like mucking around kind of thing, but it was kind of like what I'd played at PAX's in the past. But yeah, these guys were playing when I got home yesterday, so I jumped on and had a quick go. And it was mania, but fun. Fun mania.
Yeah, we had 3 on before Mimo joined us, and it didn't seem to be ideal with 3 players. 4 is the best. 4 is when you get a nice balanced gameplay.
So for anyone who hasn't seen our video interview with Alberto from PAX, what's a quick sort of couple sentence summary as to what Goatpunks is?
King of the hill with adorable little goats that have special powers.
Yeah, that was cool. Like, whenever I tried it out at PAX, I didn't use the special power feature of them. So, now I want to play all the different goats and all the different powers. Ollie had a goat that had, a fart power or something.
Yeah, I had the
yesterday.
steampunk one. So all I did was make a gassy cloud which stunned people.
Nice.
And mine was, tribal energy thing. I don't know, whatever Jam's power was, it was, the power to win all games ever.
That's just skill.
Simo had a black hole power.
No, so I mastered pretty quickly the tactical retreat or the tactical dismount. When you're on the pinnacle of the hill, you gain an ability to shoot lower down the hill with these missiles, but you lose the ability to use your special skill and you can't boop people because you're not moving. So when people would get close to the top, if I was missing with my missiles, I'd drop down and either try and run into them to boop them off the mountain or launch my special skill, which was, I played a couple of different goats, but one was like this whirlwind, which just encompasses the whole top.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was...
So when you reach the top, it basically switches your game to a tower defense mode, essentially.
Sort of,
Yeah, basically.
and your timer starts. Basically, you want to accumulate 30 seconds as King of the Hill. Thing is, if someone else is up there, your seconds drop back.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a strict cumulative thing. You can lose those seconds. And you sort of you evolve a little bit if you get to your 20-second mark and you're getting close to winning.
Yeah, you go
get
from
bigger.
being a goat on 4 legs, you get bigger and stand on 2 legs. That's evolution.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. And at one stage, I was just like button mashing yesterday while I was learning to play the game, and I just all of a sudden pressed these buttons, and there was like big blue spark stuff happening everywhere, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And there's
So-
little power-ups dotted around the mountain. Didn't know what they did. Got to the top, started shooting people, and it was like launching multiple missiles at them, and they're going, "What the hell, Jamie?
Yeah,
How
that
did
was
you do
total
that?"
bullshit. That was total
That was great.
bullshit.
The levels are
skill
so
came in.
cute too. There are so many different themed levels.
Very
Some
well
of them have
designed.
like little doors or windows, and if you press your action button in front of
Oh,
them,
yeah.
it
You mean the-
teleports
the-
you to another.
Yeah, the teleports to get you halfway up the mountain that no one told me for a good minute, 2 minutes into the
We'd
game.
only just learned.
I'm like, how
like
are you guys
10
getting up
minutes
so quickly?
before.
Well, you could go through the doors and they take you up. Like,
Or you
sorry,
can
what?
ride a seagull, or you can ride like a Chinese lantern.
It sounds like a map
Like
where you
running
just
cute.
entered a midway through a game of Snakes and Ladders or something like that.
Pretty much. Well, I was just running up the mountain and I just see Simo's goat floating past me on a lantern. I'm like, excuse me, is someone going to explain to me what's happening? Why? What's happening here?
So do you know how many of
It's
the
so
different
much
maps
fun.
there are? Have we got a rough count on?
8-ish?
I think there's about
roughly?
8.
That's pretty good for a launch game. And they're all different in terms
Yeah.
of not just the aesthetics. They've actually got different structures and power-ups and things on them as well, have they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same mechanic, but a completely
Flavors.
different feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, for
Themes.
for an early access game, it's just adorable. It's such a good party game.
Nice. And
Yeah.
the goats themselves, did you know how many of the different goats there were?
Oh, I haven't even unlocked them all.
Oh, okay. So
bunch.
there's a different bunch of unlockables. That's cool to
Yeah,
know.
and you can change their colors. You can change the little a few parts of their costume. You can swap around. They're really cute.
I'm really glad that we made the discovery sort of late in the piece before it launched that it was going to be online multiplayer over the internet. That's a really cool thing to have up
Yeah,
your
it is.
sleeve. Yep. Awesome.
It needs some work. It's not finished yet. One thing we noticed was the sound options were just on or off, and it's very
Yeah.
loud. We had to
Oh.
actually go into our computer settings and actually manipulate the volume of the game because having no sound effects or music is sad because the music is just
the music's
so
freaking
adorable.
cool.
And the sound effects help you know what's going on around you, but we couldn't hear each other talking. But yeah, good fun.
Oh,
Nice
and
one.
I'm happy to tell you that keyboard works completely reasonably.
Yeah,
Simo and I were playing on keyboard.
Yeah, but who was winning?
Simo or me usually.
But I was not. So, and I was playing on controller. So that's your end. I'm the balance to you, Jam. I'm your yang.
Hey, Yang.
Oh no. All right, well, let's sort of switch over to complete opposite kind of game. Ollie, how's the Res Evil going? Keen to see how
It's
you get on.
going really cool. I am really enjoying this game. So it's gone full old school Resident Evil on me. I had to look up how many chapters there were, which I guess is kind of spoiling it for me a little bit, but I wanted to so I can give an idea of progress. So I'm over halfway through. I'm like 6/10 of the way through.
How many hours would that translate to, do you think?
I have no fucking idea, dude.
So our good friend Simo mentioned that he reckoned the game was about 11, 12 hours long, so...
Yeah, sounds about right-ish. But yeah, this game, I was very cagey early on and spared my shotgun and didn't use it very much. I'm really grateful I did that now because it's going super good now that I have a shotgun with plenty of ammo available to me. So yes, it is a good game. It's doing that transition that, Jamie, you'll understand, that Dead Space did where it's like, not so much survival horror now. Now just creepy shit in action. definitely in the creepy shit in action realm of things now, rather than like, oh god, everything's terrifying. It's now, oh god, I'm a little bit low on ammo. That's fine. So it's going good. So I'm a fan. I am very glad to be playing this game. Would recommend to everyone that likes anything remotely horror-ish and or puzzles. Puzzles are real, man.
I'm still a little tentative on the whole not playing it in VR experience, given the length of the game. Because I think that if I'm going to play this game, I don't think I could play it and then play it again in VR. I think it's going to be a one-time experience to get the most impact kind of situation. So
Yeah. To be honest, one boss fight in particular, it got very nasty, and I would not want to be playing that in VR. I was like, oh dear. The earlier on levels, I would definitely want to be playing in VR, but some of the later bits, I could see it wouldn't be like massively super awesome. It would just be cool. But yeah, I don't know.
When you switch into the more run and gun mode, you think?
Yeah, well, at least my game is, so.
Yeah. Nice.
Recommend.
Well, I can certainly recommend some more Yakuza 0, because that's what I've been playing this week. I won't talk too much more about this game, because I've talked about it a couple of weeks straight, but holy crap, it's good. The story continues to impress me, and I think the switching back and forth between the two characters, Majima and Kiryu, is very, very effective, and leaves you with some pretty interesting cliffhangers when you're sort of switching back and forth between them. Like, you just getting into the story with whichever one you're playing on, and then all of a sudden you finish the chapter and you switch over to the other character, and you're like, no, I wanted to know what was going to happen. It's exactly that feeling you get when you read Game of Thrones, and your favourite character's point of view perspective chapter ends, and you go on to someone else, and you're like, no, flick ahead to their next chapter. What's going on with that character? So, yeah, where's Tyrion at? Sort of thing. But no, it's great. And I was just telling you guys earlier that I think my son's picked up the idea pretty quickly of what the game's all about, because he walked out today and he said, Dad, is this like GTA set in Japan? And I'm just like, crap, he's got this pretty close. He's never played Grand Theft Auto, or at least I hope he has never played Grand Theft Auto, because that would certainly raise some questions. But no,
check your downloads.
Yeah, that was right up there with intuitive questions, along with, Dad, if you beat people up in this game, do they bleed money? So, yes. Very astute.
Wow.
Yes, just like in real life.
Exactly.
And be the world's worst parent.
I will say that my favourite fighting style in this game that I've discovered is the one that Majima, the ponytailed dude with the eye patch, he has like a baseball bat style fighting mode, and man, it looks awesome. Like, you just swinging this bat around, and he's using it like a giant nunchuck essentially. So some pretty spectacular looking moves with that. It's a lot of fun.
I thought you said fighting style.
Fighting style. With a baseball bat, that's a different kind of dysfunction.
Wow.
Speaking of
It's a
dysfunction,
different type of game entirely.
Jam,
Oh, that's not
Not a game,
nice.
Mimo. It's not a
Jam,
game.
tell us about the disc function.
Oh dear, that's bad. You're terrible.
That segue, yo.
So
Master of
I
the segue.
played some more Disc Jam. Mimo joined me with some friends. It was hilarious.
It was hilarious for some people
as
involved.
I thought she would.
Yeah, I got the impression when we discussed this last week that Imogen would be in the similar boat to me, with maybe this not being our bag, but
It's really not. It's like, it's a great game. Like, I'm saying this with all authenticity and the whole of my heart. It is a very good game. It is just not for me. And I managed to like jump online to play with Jam, who we all know, if you've listened to this podcast on a regular basis, has fairly decent Twitch reflexes and is good at this type of game. Yeah. Her brother, who
makes me look like a complete
he might be a
noob.
god.
Just slightly. Yeah.
And then somebody who picked up the game in like a second and is like a pro at it.
On
and
par with
Yeah,
Sam.
the very first thing that you do in Disc Jam, so Disc Jam is basically frisbee volleyball with lots of different tricks, and you slide around the field. But it's incredibly reliant on the timing of when you press the buttons, and so you're responding to other people's pressing the buttons, and basically it's mania, and when you're learning to play the game, it's button mashing. It has a really good tutorial, but because of the nature of the game and some of the very advanced moves they teach you, oh my gosh, it took me ages. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I don't understand. And
the tutorial's vicious.
I was just sitting on Discord talking to you guys, and I was like, what is this level? Am I ever going to use this? Do I need this tutorial? Like, what's happening right now? And yeah, jumped in the game and managed to pull off some cool moves, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like my entire Dead or Alive career. Like I'm really good at that game, but mostly because I quickly figure out which combination of buttons just to smash with my palm.
Yeah, and you had the unfortunate situation of joining us in a doubles game, which is even more fast-paced than a single-player's game. It is nuts.
We did something that we didn't think was possible in that Jam and I were on the same team, and we passed between us twice and then scored somehow.
I don't know how that happened.
And the other guys were like, I didn't know you could do that. So we
What
spent
did
the
you do?
whole rest
How
of the
did you-
game like trying to pass it between the same teams. Oh, it's good. Character models that Jam mentioned yesterday are just as weird as she mentioned. There is a weird thigh gap issue happening with the female model, which I don't understand. Something very wrong with her hip bones. That's for sure.
Yeah. But then they're
some
meant to be
sort of-
ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It's meant to be, far out. It's the human equivalent of Rocket League, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
It's full on.
It's it'll go into the pantheon of challenging games that really are worth checking out. So if you consider yourself a Twitch Reflex champion, then Disc Jam is the game for you. And all you have to do is find enough gullible friends to play with you until they rage quit.
All you have to do is find that one person who can cover almost every inch of your side. Like my brother. Some games I'm just standing at the net and he's just hurling it back and forth from
I'm going to take a
backcourt.
solid life stance that I will never play games against Sam, only if
Yeah.
I'm on Sam's team.
That's a good rule. That's a very good rule.
It's a solid rule. Oh, man.
So, given that you've
it's good fun.
both gotten a bit of a feel for this game now, and Jam, you know enough about Rocket League. Do you think that this may actually be the next Rocket League? Is this likely to explode in the coming months? Because I've been seeing quite a bit of buzz around.
Yeah, on a different scale. I don't think it'll ever be quite like Rocket League.
Well, Rocket League had the advantage as well as being like a free game on the PlayStation monthly bonuses for PlayStation members.
And it's still a different beast. The maneuverability in Rocket League in 3 dimensions will outshine this game. This game is more about timing and switching up your moves, I think,
It reminds me
as
so
a
much of air
tactical
hockey.
strategy.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah, because it is in 2 dimensions. Height doesn't play too much into it. I mean, you can lob the disc, but you can get to the point where it's getting lobbed to if you're nimble enough. So yeah, it's different, but yeah, it can be ultra competitive. And just seeing someone, I mean, it's still early access. It's so young, and already some of the people I see online, not even just the people we play with who we know, are so good at it.
Yeah, I could see it being a solid sort of esports.
Yeah.
It sounds bad, but like warm-up act until sort of it becomes a bit more established. I could see it being sort of like what's the word I'm looking for? Like a demonstration kind of thing where they get some people to play it. Because it would be really, I mean, it's fascinating to watch people who are good at it play it.
Needs a really good connection though. If you're having any internet issues, the game suffers because
Not dissimilar to Rocket League in that regard.
The disc is past you before you've realised it. It's
Yeah.
so fast paced. But I
That's
honestly think
totally what was happening with me.
the 4
it's
of us
my
need
internet
to play it.
or something.
It'll be so funny.
Controller was broken. My cat ate my abilities. One of those.
Well, fortunately, there was one other game that we all got to play during the week, which I think we're a little bit better at as a team. So we mentioned it briefly last week. Yeah, come on, Imogen, give yourself some credit. Jesus.
That confidence.
So we mentioned it briefly last week that the new Overwatch seasonal event was live, and there was a new alternate game format called Capture the Rooster as part of the Year of the Rooster event, which of course is Capture the Flag just with a
Year of the
Overwatch
Cock.
spin on it. Yeah, Year of the Cock.
Whoop whoop.
Yep. So Ollie, you love it. Tell us about it. I mean,
I really liked
the
it.
rooster, not the cock. Yeah, go on, continue.
God.
Oh, wow.
Cool guy, Luke.
Yeah.
I genuinely like the new Capture the Flag mode. A lot of people go, "Oh, it's bullshit. You're breaking the game because of the high maneuverability heroes." Well, yeah, that's their stick. Sorry. For me personally, I like it because it makes all the heroes viable again. Like, you can have a cool, annoying Torbjorn and a Symmetra and a Bastion and all that sort of stuff again. It's really cool.
Ollie just likes being play of the game Bastion again.
Oh, I've missed it so much.
Which should just be
Missed
his
it.
name, to be honest.
change it.
I must admit, there's very few of the characters that I haven't seen active in Capture the Rooster. I think Zenyatta's possibly one of them. Haven't really seen any Zenyatta's.
He's fucking awesome in that.
Oh, yeah, I've seen
No,
Zen.
I've seen
you?
him a couple of
He's
times.
Yeah, when
brilliant.
they go tranquil. Oh.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, when
So
they go
handy.
experience tranquility. Well, that's what I was screaming. I just remember screaming that. I'm like, tranquility, tranquility.
I'm so tranquil
We're all gonna die because you can't do damage to them.
Yeah, actually, that's true. I suppose
They've
if you
got
grab
the
the flag
flag
and
really
then pop
And he
that.
zips back really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been really interesting. There's some definite strategies, and I think if we're in a team of 6, we go really well because we can communicate and chat. But when we've got sort of one person who's not with us, or worse, we were kind of 3 and 4 and then 4 and 3 of like random people. When you don't talk about like who's attacking and who's defending, or you don't make a decision about all attacking or all defending or whatever, it's nuts. And
Yeah.
I think one game we thought we were doing
what
really
the-
well until we realized that when we'd all respawned, no one stayed with the flag to defend it, and we lost our lead super
We're
easily.
cool.
Yeah. I had the game of the year where I captured the flag twice for my team, and the other team got so angry they all quit.
Wow.
I was super
Bravo.
happy about that with my boy Winston. So I was really happy with that. I also
Science the
encountered
shit
a
out
very
of it.
interesting issue, again, where people have very definite strategies. So I'd say like the main ones are you nerf with Diva on the flag, which clears them all out. She can stay in the nerf zone and so collects the flags, jumps back in the mech, zooms away. That's sort of what we call the jam special.
The Jam Bam. Thanks, man.
Yeah, as well as people have been using Sombra. She has the invisibility, so if she can remain invisible, she sort of appears on the point sort of towards the last minute. Zara's bubble, but one has been May. So if you put the ice wall on the flag and stand behind the wall, usually they've defended it from behind where you can place the wall on one of the particular maps, and you can stand right next to the flag and be protected by her ice wall until you pick it up. Unfortunately, for that match, I chose to use the Diva nerf this, and so as I was nerf this, send the mech towards the flag, May puts her wall up on the flag, and none of the
Wasn't
people
me.
I was trying to hit got hit. I was like, no, and I was like, oh well, we'll try again next time. Tried it again. Exactly the same thing happened.
Oh, no.
I was
Damn
so
it.
frustrated, but it, both are valid techniques. It was just the communication was tough when you're not able to sort of chat to the people about strategy or whatever.
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
But it's the whinging that Ollie had mentioned about people saying that they're breaking the game. If they just put it like these little modes, it's kind of fun to experience, and I think what it does is give us a good idea of they're trying things out, and maybe it'll stay, maybe it'll come back for something else. But like the Dr. Junkenstein, it's not a full-time thing. It's just a fun little thing to do for a season, and it brings people back to the game, and it gives you different things to think about rather than just settling into these are my 3 characters, this is how I play this map kind of thing. So
Yep.
Yeah.
And all the other modes
thing
are still
on
there.
the maps
yeah.
is because they've rejigged the spawn points and the way where the flags are versus the cap. So we should say it's the Lijiang Tower capture and control. So normally there's a center point you have to fight over. Because you obviously don't want the flags in the middle, they put them about a third of the way into the map. And so suddenly you're fighting in very, very different areas of the map, and you're using all the little nooks and crannies that previously you wouldn't even bother with.
Yep.
And so you're actually getting to see a lot more of the map, and the map plays very differently because of that.
It's
And
really
super
cool.
That's my favorite part. I think putting more of the features of the map sort of into your view. That's a really, really cool thing. I would like to see them continue to do that with the other maps, so that you get to learn some of the areas that you don't really see a lot of. Like, I mean, a really good example is Eichenwald. Like, that's a map that I know it's new, but that map has so many nooks and crannies that I've not really spent a lot of time in yet, just because of the way that you play it. So
Yeah, I only played the defense of Eichenwald once, ever. And I've played Oasis about 3 billion times at this stage. Finding that map comes a lot more often in quick play than things like Eichenwald. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I really, really like it. I especially love Ollie's new player icon. I am doomed to never receive a cute player icon. And the other day, Ollie got Patchy Lantern, which is little Patchy Murray, who is easily the best thing about Overwatch. And he's a little red lantern with little tentacles. And it's so cute.
It
I
is amazing.
lost my shit.
You really did.
No.
That's like,
Flew
Blizzard,
away.
please make those purchasable. Please, 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 please.
Yeah.
Like,
All of
I
them
will use my
purchasable.
in-game coins. Please let me buy a Pachimari.
I haven't picked up anything decent out of the loot boxes yet. I've been a little bit disappointed by that, actually. I'm just going to have to continue playing as many games as I can over the next week before it wraps up. So,
How terrible.
yep, it should be shame.
2 more weeks. It's
I
on
think
to the
I've got-
14th.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
can play on Valentine's Day.
yeah, that's a
Super
surefire
romantic.
way.
So romantic. Jam and I can have a romantic game of Overwatch.
Yeah. Could be
Sweet.
my Valentine.
I'm looking at it.
Nerds.
Well, anyway, Overwatch can kick us neatly into our gaming news of the week. So, on the topic of Overwatch, it has been revealed over the last 24 hours or so that Blizzard has got another character in its sights as far as the next round of changes go. And it's one that
boy.
may be a little surprising to some. It's actually Bastion. So, Ollie, what was the general theme of what Blizzard are looking at with Bastion and what they might be doing to him?
So they are currently looking at just making him even more awesome than what he already is. No, that's a lie. Bastion, as it stands, has so many counters, it's not funny. Early on, everyone was like, oh, Bastion's bullshit, he's so OP. And now everyone's like, no, Bastion's just a joke. And it makes me really sad because he really is. He's very good at the whole, you didn't know where I am, you die, cool. And then he has to reposition. Otherwise, he just gets his shit pushed in. So some of the changes that they're talking about doing is he's got a recon mode, which is him running around. They're looking at making his spread a bit tighter and upping the magazine size, which is pretty good. Like, he's already decent in sentry mode. Obviously, it's not his main thing, but his DPS and aim is, you know, it's comparable with soldiers, so that's not terrible.
Yeah.
His sentry mode, which is his turret mode, they're apparently making him look into more of a tank buster and barrier buster mode. So I imagine that doesn't mean that they're going to up his DPS or his fire rate or anything like that. But I imagine it will make him possibly much better at doing damage against armor. So he might ignore the armor's ability to halve damage or something. Or he might even do like double damage against barriers potentially. I don't think he'll ever like ignore them. But I reckon he might start doing double damage to barriers or something like that. Or
Yeah, just
to
melt
help
like
with that role.
Reinhardt's shield and Zarya's bubble.
Because, you know, he doesn't already melt the Reinhardt shield already.
I mean, I
but-
guess, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're a smart Reinhardt, though, you find him and you just right for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Internet knows what I mean by right? Whatever
Yeah.
that.
It's a well-known Reinhardt strat.
The charge thing. Yeah.
No, you never charge your Bastion. That's how you die.
Yeah.
Fire strike the shit out of him.
Unless he's reloading, then that's maybe your one moment.
It's true. They're looking at increasing his spread as a result and removing headshots. So he just does a generic damage. Because at the moment, being able to spray 1 billion bullets and getting headshots with them is a bit... If he wasn't so vulnerable, it would be ridiculous. One of the biggest changes that I can see is they're looking at changing his self-repair. So in both modes, he can self-repair to get some health back. Now, that apparently he'll be able to move whilst doing it.
That's a
which is
really cool
big
change.
fucking deal.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah, that's
And
huge.
Yeah.
the other one that they're looking is it will no longer be interrupted when taking damage. So, for example, if I wanted to self-repair whilst Mei has done, for whatever reason, I just decided not to get out of the zone. If Mei does an ultimate and it does a little tick of damage each time, I can't self-repair through that because it interrupts me every time, at every tick. So, apparently it's no longer be interrupted when taking damage. But to balance that, it's going to be a resource system similar to D.Va's defense matrix. So it'll have like
that
a
makes
cooler
sense.
cooldown.
Yeah.
So I really like the sound of that self-repair. The recon mode stuff sounds pretty cool as well. The sentry mode is a thing that they have to get right. If they fuck up the sentry mode, he's pointless as a character because that's his thing. So I really like the self-repair. The recon mode sounds good, but they have to nail that sentry mode.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed.
Well, maybe if they get the
So I want him-
self-repair right, they'll have him sort of up and walking around a bit more and maybe in sentry mode less often, which might sort of curb the hate against him a little bit, we'll say.
It's true. Yeah, make Bastion great again.
Nice.
I want to go back to playing with one hand.
Yep, year of the cock. So, what's happening with Mello, ladies? Tell us about that, because that was a bit of news that dropped just as
dear.
we were recording last week.
Yeah, so just as we were finishing up last week, we talked about Armello announced 1.6, Journey's Dawn, the latest patch, I guess expansion is the wrong word, for Armello. And Jam and I put quite a lot of time into this, so we're very excited about hearing about it.
Yes.
We've heard about 3 of the 5 elements of this release. So the first of all is the very exciting one is hero skins, which means that there will be purchasable skins for, I think, 4 different heroes at this stage. Mm-hmm. This will be all released, will launch on February 1st, so today, but tomorrow our time probably. The skin's not going to drop in game, which is interesting. So we'll see. It's just a way to be able to customize your character, and people who play a lot, like Jam and I.
It reminds me a lot of the Hearthstone character portraits, like similar sort of concept.
Very similar, very, very similar. So it's really aimed at the people who play a lot and so are looking for a point of difference when they play. There'll be different animations for the characters who are skinned and those types of things. So it's kind of cool. Journey's Dawn overarching seems to have a bit of a spring feel to it, which is really interesting. The second thing that was announced was multiplayer stability. There's not really any big news on what that actually will look like, other than they know that player dropout and the AI coming in has been a bit of an issue, and if it's their end, people lose the opportunity to get like keys and chests and experience.
That seems a bit cheeky listing it as a feature, though. I mean, isn't it addressing a bug more than anything? This
is 1.6. It's a patch.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the patch has main features. So it's not an expansion. That's why I said it's not really an expansion. It's just they also tend to put really cool stuff like hero skins in it
and balance fixes and like an assortment. So it's good because it's an issue that's been a bit ongoing. We've seen it a bunch in our games. We've even had when it's 4 of us friends together, we've had someone drop out. So it's good to know that it's acknowledged and that they're working toward it, and it's going to improve in the near future.
Yeah, that will be good. I mean, there is no word about what that will actually look at, only that they're aware of it and they're doing what they can. So we'll see. The biggest thing to come out of it was a bit of a card balance pass, which means that they went through and had a look at how people were using cards, the amount of times the cards appeared, and what impact the cards have. And there was 2 main cards, or 1 main card really, that they buffed, which is the Cat Burglar card. This card traditionally you can play on a character to steal an equipped item, but it's a peril. So you play it on an empty square. Somebody then lands on it, does a peril, so rolls the dice. Hopefully they pass, and if they don't, it steals an equipped item. It's only really handy if you've got someone who's standing on, I think it's a settlement card, so you've got someone standing on a settlement, then you play immediately against them. But now the card has been buffed to be a play anywhere, play to hero, which means that changes the game entirely.
Yeah.
In terms of there's items out there that buff prestige by 3. There's items out there that make real difference to the way people earn money and magic and all sorts of things. So you can very quickly change somebody's strategy or how they're trying to win the game.
Not to mention some of the combinations of items. Some characters just get nigh unkillable during the late stages of the game. So
exactly right. Like losing an item, and it is random. It still is a random item, so you can't choose what it is. But that Cat Burglar card being able to be played to a hero is pretty big. That's pretty big. And you know, a League of Geeks we in their statement say, look, this card was originally that way, and we changed it when we went sort of full release. So it's not like we are changing it really. It's just they realize that it's not really being played a lot, or it's being passed over quite a lot, and it's really supposed to be a bit of a game changer. So it's really cool.
Really interesting is that to start with, this might make people hesitant in equipping certain items very quickly. They might save it till key moments. The problem is, though, that they've also adjusted drop rates of some of the other cards that result in switching up hands, either swapping them entirely or stealing cards from other people's hands, so that you can't afford to hang on to very good cards for too long, because the odds have now increased that you're going to lose that card somehow. So it's gonna make everything so interesting. I want to play.
They've also announced change to a signet ring for the Wolf Clan, which used to be you get +3 fight if you have 1 health, and now it's +3 fight if you have 3 health or less, which is
amazing.
Huge with a character like River, because you know standard sort of 5 or 6 fight for majority of the game, maybe more depending on how you play her, and then she gets down to 3 or less health, which is about half her health, and she automatically will go up to sort of 8 to 10, which is huge. And they've also, I think just late, I saw also the announcement of 2 different trinkets. One will be to give you extra defense dice, and one will be to make your hero ability, so your clan ability, night and day. So if you have 1 extra dice at night, there is one you can equip, so it will be night and day. Or if you have stealth in, night and day, so it kind of negates that.
Amazing.
But trinkets are a bit of a choice, and it's up to how players are playing the characters and how they see playing the game. Yep. For me, it's how I know Jam can play the game, and so when I'm building my character, I'm kind of building it to try and counter what I suspect she might do, and I wouldn't be surprised if Jam does a little bit of the same. If I choose someone like River, she might know how I'm going to go with that.
If I see everyone playing an aggressive, tough character, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll take the trinket that lets me move 4 after I die instead of 3. That'll help me get around.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, no, really solid. I'm not surprised, and I'm really happy. Every time they come out with one of these patches, it's something super cool. And along with 1.6 will come new chests and keys and fun stuff like that. So I think the next thing that we'll hear is those types of themes.
Yep.
Potentially.
New dice.
It's a game that continues to get love on a very regular basis. So, yeah.
Oh, I love it. I think I'm now up to 80 hours.
Wow.
The game total.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I would not be
The
surprised.
only game
by
with
that.
more hours than that in it for me is GTA.
Oh, I'm on 56 hours, and it looks like the update is queued for me. Ooh.
Yeah, it's the first Pacific time, so that will be about now.
What about Civ 5, Imogen? Would that be up there with the hour count, or?
Civ?
Yeah.
I didn't play it on Steam, so I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Yep. All right. Well, on to some not quite so happy news. This is one that's a little bit more local in flavour, and by local I mean Australia specifically. So we got word a couple of days ago that unfortunately a fairly massive TV show in terms of Australian gaming culture over the last decade by the name of Good Game, a show that's been airing on the ABC for quite some time now, hosted by Stephen Barjo O'Donnell and Stephanie Hex Bendixson. On the ABC, unfortunately, we found out a couple of days ago that it has just been cancelled, and it clearly came as a bit of a surprise to a lot of people. A number of the crew that actually work on the show included, if their responses via social media and so forth are anything to go by. There's been a bit of interesting fallout this week from that one. So what sort of stuff have you seen, Imogen? I know you've been following the story a bit as well.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a Good Game fan. I mean, obviously I get a lot of my game news from elsewhere, but I still enjoy the game reviews and sort of little extra bits and pieces that they have as part of the show. And I usually don't watch it live. I watch it on catch-up, which we can do with our free-to-air TV here in Australia, which is pretty neat. But there is now rumours that, so originally it was, 2 presenters are leaving the show, so we've made the decision to cancel. And now it's been revealed that the ABC, so the Australian Broadcast Corporation, put a note out to staff to say that the reason they left is because they went to a rival show. And so now people are trying to figure out what that show is. And, some of the internet's mad because here in Australia, the ABC is basically a government-funded channel, whereas all of our other stations are commercial-based. So it's been seen maybe as a bit of a sellout move by the 2 presenters. And it wasn't Barjo who left. It was Niche Boy, and I forget his actual name.
Nick Richardson.
And Hex.
Yep.
Yeah, who actually left. So at the moment, the reports are just based on reports. So a report says that somebody said this, no confirmed anything yet. So we'll see, but maybe it means that we'll still get another game review show on television, on free-to-air TV, but maybe it'll be on more of our commercial stations. So
I think for anyone who's not familiar with Good Game, it's a little understated to say that it's been a pretty big revolution in terms of how games media has really embraced the mainstream in Australia. I mean, it's had a massive impact on people who would watch network TV and actually get a window into this kind of culture and this industry, as the hosts have been really at the forefront of kind of making it a regular thing for a lot of people, and not one of those sort of niche hobbies that you otherwise don't see on standard network TV, and the fact that the show has been around for so long and it's spawned so many sort of sister shows as well. I mean, Good Game is a number of different programs at this point. It's sort of the main Good Game show. There's also Good Game Spawn Point or Good Game SP, which focuses on sort of the kids' approach to video games. There's also, of course, Good Game Pocket Edition, which is a sort of internet version of the show, which is like a daily program that they do. I mean, it looks like all of those.
Well played.
Yeah, well played as well, which was the esports focus one.
Coverage.
So I mean, it looks like they've cancelled all of those effectively except for Good Game Spawn Point, which is the one for kids. So my son Ben will be very happy with that because he's a regular watcher of Good Game SP, and he would be quite devastated if that was no longer on. But yeah, it's just super, super sad. I mean, it's a real sort of mark in the history books for gaming in Australia, and to see the program sort of wrap up, especially when it went out on a high, having its big 10th anniversary celebrations just before Christmas. It's really sad. It will be very, very interesting to see what is going to come of it, though. And I mean, there's been whispers about Channel 7 possibly picking up the two exiting hosts and starting up a new game show, and that might have factored into the decision making at the ABC's end as to whether they wanted to be a competitor to one of the bigger networks or not. Who knows? It's all speculation at this point, so we will see. But there's still a ton of content from that show online, and if SP is still running into the new year, hopefully we'll see some stuff from them again. But I don't know, if we get another cool new show on gaming on network TV, that can't be a bad thing for the industry in Australia as a whole, and still increases that exposure for the main market. So yeah, we will see. We will see. All right, so there was another big bit of news that we just missed out on last week, which is a really interesting one to talk about. So I think we've collectively mentioned a couple of times, and we've almost bemoaned the fact that there doesn't seem to be that many good sort of comic booky type video games out these days, with the exception of the Batman Arkham games, of course, and the newly sort of on the schedule for this year's Spider-Man game, which I know Ollie and I are quite looking forward to seeing what that looks like when it finally comes out.
Don't fuck it up, please.
Yeah, that'll be quite cool. But now we've got something else which we can potentially look forward to, because it was just announced as part of a big news press release during the week that Square Enix, the makers of the new rebooted Tomb Raider series, as well as many other sort of well-known games, have just teamed up with Marvel for what they're calling the Avengers Project. So they have partnered to create multiple games based on the Avengers franchise, so not just one. And there's a very, very simple debut teaser which they've put up online. And I mean, the teaser doesn't have a whole bunch of stuff in it, but it definitely hints at some of the main Avengers heroes. So Iron Man, Captain America, there's a Hulk sort of hint in there as well. But Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal are also leading development on the new series of the Avengers games. So again, there's some elements that have been at play when it comes to the Tomb Raider franchise, and Thief, as well as the Deus Ex games as well. So some pretty big names flying around in there. It's not going to be a this year thing. It's going to be sort of looking to reveal a few more details about the project in 2018. So we're going to be waiting a little while for this. But I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think about this? What would you like to see out of these companies when it comes to a game in the Avengers sort of franchise? I mean, what would that look like in your mind to be a success? What do you think?
God. The easiest one for them to do would be something similar to Injustice, like the DC game.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the easiest one for them to pull out because the framework's basically all there already. But that would be the easiest and blandest, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they should mix it up a bit more from just doing like an Injustice clone, which I have a feeling will be the case.
Well, it seems to be a limited sort of market for a fighting or a brawler style game. So, whereas the more, I mean, when we think about all these sorts of franchises, we think about story first and foremost. I mean, it's why a lot of kids get into comics, and the artwork is great, but the story is also a really important part of the experience too. So what I'd love to see out of a game like set in that Marvel world with the Avengers is to actually have a really, really good story that we've not seen on the big screen with the Marvel cinematic sort of world at the moment. And that opens up worlds of possibilities, because the bench when it comes to the Avengers is a pretty deep one. I mean, Ollie, you probably know more about this than most of us in terms of the comic book spins on the Avengers that have happened over the years. But there's been quite a few characters that we'll probably see at some point in the movies sort of in the next decade, the way things are continuing to go. But it's a lot more just beyond the traditional Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, Cap, Hawkeye, Black Widow kind of combo, isn't it? There's a lot of other characters involved there. Yeah.
They can put whatever they want in there. And especially after a little while, if they want to just do expansions, they go, cool, we've got the entire Marvel catalogue.
Yeah.
So they can do whatever the hell they want.
All right, well, that's an interesting one. We'll look forward to seeing a little bit more info about that in hopefully the not too distant future. In terms of other new games that are kind of looking interesting, have you guys seen the new trailer that was released for the Prey launch date confirmation? So we're going to be seeing the new Prey on the 5th of May this year, which has now been locked in as the release date. Pretty creepy new trailer. I saw this and immediately thought, Ollie, this is probably right up your alley, but I don't know, what were your thoughts on it?
My thoughts, and again, I'm going to use the Dead Space analogy here because it's a good analogy. It looks, with games like this, it's a very fine line, and I'm pretty sure I said this the first time on the first trailer, of them going between suspenseful survival horror game and action game. Because as soon as you go, cool, yeah, you've got all these horrific, gribbly things, but I've got a gun now, and it's actually pretty good. It takes away that tension. So I'm very intrigued to see if they can maintain that horror element or that survival element once you're tooled up and you're blasting away at everything. One thing I do like the look of, and I don't know if you guys noticed this in the trailer, was the like rapid setting glue gun. Did you guys see that at all?
Yeah.
That was super cool. So there's a gun in there that launches like a little globule of stuff that freezes or sets really quickly, and you can use it to deal with a variety of environmental effects. So you need to climb up somewhere, blip, 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 up you go. You need to block off, say, some jet flames that are going to scorch you to death. Blip, there we go. So I do like that they're bringing new things in, and the enemies can mimic, everyday objects, and spoiler alert, at some point you get that ability as well, because you see the hero transform into a turret. So, yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. I want it to be good, but I have a feeling it's going to go Dead Space on me.
I don't know.
I'm okay with that. That sounds like I'm making it out to sound really bad. I'm okay with that. I just would like it to not follow the exact same formula as Dead Space.
The impression I'm getting from looking at the alien species that you're dealing with, and also the what looks like some of the character abilities, and you just mentioned a couple of them, it seems like a lot of that reality shifting weirdness could lend itself really well to some puzzler elements. Like we saw in one of the earlier trailers, the main protagonist sort of he transformed himself into a coffee mug or something like that to get through one of the areas. Now that kind of thing, I think there could be some really good lateral thinking puzzles as to how to sort of traverse some of the different environments in the game and deal with some of the enemies and obstacles that you face. And if they play that off amongst some good first-person shooter type stuff against this weird-looking alien race, then that could be really cool. I think they've got a pretty unique and interesting premise on their hands there from what we can see.
I don't envision a lot of puzzle stuff. I imagine there'll be some basic rudimentary puzzles, though, yeah. Sort of like the Resident Evil 7 puzzles where it's collect this item from here and combine it over here, or activate this certain thing. So, yeah, I have a feeling all their puzzles will be based around assuming certain shapes so you can get into various bits and pieces.
Yeah, but we'll see. Fortunately, it's in May, so that's not going to interrupt too much of the craziness of the next couple of months with our Horizon Zero Dawning and Mass Effecting and all that sort of stuff. So, speaking of Mass Effect, we got a new cinematic trailer during the week for Mass Effect, and now, Jamie, I know that you had a little bit of a look at it, despite the fact that I think we're all getting to the point now where we want to lock our Mass Effect down a bit and not look at too much more to spoil what's coming. So
I saw some and then I went, no, stop. You want to be surprised.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So I guess
there's some excitement around, so I'm excited by that.
Yeah. I think the most interesting thing that's sort of doing the rounds now in terms of new information and new visuals is we can now see a bit more information about the various different crew characters that are going to be on board the new ship. God, what's the ship called? It was on the tip of my tongue a second ago. The new ship.
Tempest.
The Tempest, yes, that's right. So, yeah, some of the different alien creatures and a couple of the human characters as well. There's a bit of a conspiracy theory around one of the female human characters that may or may not be related.
I saw that.
Yeah, to a major character from earlier in the series, so we will see.
Interesting.
So anything's possible there.
That's why I stopped paying attention, because I was like, I don't want to know this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they could just be messing with people. That wouldn't be beyond them at all. But yeah, I mean, the other thing we got to see was the what seems to be the main villain or the main villain's race. I mean, uncertain as to whether that will be the main antagonist for the entire story or just one of the story arcs or what. But we get a bit of a feel for what that's going to look like and the alien nature of what you're going to be fighting against. So yeah, it's starting to look pretty cool. I'm getting pretty excited. And yes, I agree, Jamie. I don't want to see much more at this point. I think it's kind of like I look at Mass Effect trailers as a little bit like Star Wars trailers. You do not need to encourage me to see this thing any more than I'm already going to want to see it.
I'm sold.
Yeah,
I'm sold, and I don't want to spoil my gasps of delight when I discover something new. So I'm trying. It's really difficult, though. It's so difficult.
Yeah. Speaking of gasps of delight, I heard a few of them from Imogen earlier today when we saw a new trailer that I didn't expect her to get excited about. But I mean, yeah, what's going on with Morrowind? Tell us all about that.
Elder Scrolls Online, where have you been all my life? The new trailer for Morrowind came out today, and very quickly realized that it is like an expansion or like a new story for Elder Scrolls Online. Forgive me, Internet, because I'm not super educated on the world of Elder Scrolls Online until I really wanted to play the game when I saw this trailer. A lot can be learnt from Bethesda and their trailers. It was amazing. And what it did really well for me and what hooked me in is the combat and the style of what happens in the trailer was very, very sort of Dungeons and Dragons, like RPG classic moves, spells, rolls, those types of things. And so I was instantly transported and I understood what they were trying to convey to me, through the trailer. It was really, really epic, and it might just hook me into playing the game. Elder Scrolls Online was released some time ago. Bit lackluster. I know that it had some issues going on and that it had some updates and sort of maybe some steady growth towards the end of last year. But I'm going to have to take a look at that a bit more because this Morrowind update looks amazing. I mean, it was a cinematic trailer. It wasn't gameplay, so it sold me in that.
Holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
I know if that was gameplay, it'd be like, next level, where do I buy it? So it just hooked me enough to get me to look into it. So good job, good marketing. And if you haven't checked it out, it's available now. Morrowind, if you Google that, you're going to find it almost instantly because the internet went nuts because it looks awesome.
Yeah, so this update is going to be launching on PC and Mac, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on the 6th of June. And looks like pricing is going to be around $39.99 US for the standard edition. Just for the update, rather. And the standard edition, which includes the base game as well, will be $20 more than that at $59.99. So,
which is not a bad price. I mean, when Elder Scrolls Online is effectively, an MMA.
An MMA?
MMO.
You go down to the local dojo and practice it.
Exactly right. But available on consoles, which is really cool. And, a bit of a Bethesda fan from the Skyrim years, and it's definitely got a lot of those kinds of echoes in it, which is really cool. So we'll see. But I feel like if I take on another online game, you might lose me to the internet again, like we did with World of Warcraft. So.
Well, I nearly got pulled into Star Wars, the Old Republic, when the trailer for their recent update sort of came out a few months back, and I narrowly avoided that.
If you dove down that hole, I would follow swiftly.
I know you would. So I feel like I did us both a solid.
Oh dear.
Look, but I got to say, we're not out of the woods yet because I still may jump in and have a look at that thing. So just be prepared.
Oh dear.
Be prepared.
Oh dear.
Choose life.
Yep, choose life. Yep. Now, Ollie, you're a big John Wick fan, aren't you?
Fucking love John Wick.
All right, so would you be interested, per se, if John Wick was to come out as a VR experience in the very near future, like perhaps before the next movie releases in about a month?
I would love to play a John Wick game because John Wick is amazing. Mm-hmm. And for those of you that don't know what John Wick is, pause your podcast, go onto your nearest streaming service or internet, whatever, or, shop, go watch John Wick, then continue the podcast.
Educate yourself.
Good. Oh, yeah. It's easily the best action movie of 2016. Easily.
I would probably agree with that.
Trying.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
So
Keanu Reeves,
the ability,
gun fu, that's all you need to know.
but like realistic gun fu. It wasn't like over the top gun fu. That was the thing. It's no Equilibrium or The Matrix or anything like that. So yeah, being able to play a John Wick game, and it's apparently set between the two films that are coming out? Question mark. So no idea if it's going to be directly related, if it's just a bit of filler, like if maybe like there's a cheeky reference to the game in the movie or whatever. No idea, but we'll find out, I guess. And yeah, if I had access to VR, easy access, I would be buying this.
So the name of the experience in question is the John Wick Chronicles, which is actually available to pre-order now on Steam for $19.99 US. And pre-order customers actually get a free copy of Payday 2 with it as well, if you wanted a little incentive.
Which is a great game if you haven't played it.
Yep. So basically it is going to be set in one of the places that people who watch the first movie might be familiar with, which is the Continental Hotel. So that's where a fair bit of the action sort of took place in the first John Wick film. I mean, like a lot of shooters, they tend to sort of work pretty well on the whole VR room environment kind of setup, and it looks like that's what's going to happen here. So it looks like there's, going to be a bit of a defense kind of sort of setup with it. So you'll be up on a rooftop, dealing with thugs that are climbing up and trying to, get at you, besieged from all sides. You've got a crate of weapons that keeps respawning, lots of different things, be able to move from cover to cover. Sounds like a lot of fun. So and it will be coming out just before the sequel. So anyone who's keen on seeing that may want to combine the two experiences together and get all wickified. Sounds pretty good.
I hope it requires
Wickified.
excellent precision.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Hope so too. So another good reason to get a HTC Vive, perhaps. So a couple of last items before we wrap up on the news. We've got word that the first official DLC episode for Final Fantasy 15 is going to be arriving in March. So it's going to be the first big chunk of story that's going to come out. It's got announced this week. And no idea how big it's going to be, but that's good to see that, pretty quickly we're going to see a fairly big chunk of content. Apparently there's going to be some characters from previous Final Fantasies that might get a bit of mention or cameo there, depending on how they do it. They might have sort of new interpretations of some of those characters. But apparently you actually get to play as one of the other members of Prince Noctis's party, which is Gladiolus. So he's the big heavy guy that has the double-handed warglaive. So it's actually a chapter told
See what they did there.
His point of view. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That should be quite interesting. And last on the list, Gears of War 4 has just been announced this week that it is getting cross-platform play. So if you actually have been interested in taking part in the multiplayer elements of Gears 4, and you were wondering whether you could play against sort of Xbox One players if you're on PC or vice versa, the answer is very soon, yes, you will be able to. Interesting few stats that came up with that today. It was revealed that about 90% of the current players of this game are on Xbox and about 10% on PC. So I suspect that this may have been in part a bit of a move on Microsoft part to make the PC experience when it came to getting sort of multiplayer action happening a little bit easier on the PC side, because queuing for matches and not being able to find anybody would be pretty bad look for them if that was an issue. But I don't know, mix the two together and open that pool up considerably. That's probably a good move for them. So we'll see. But yeah, because it's one of the new Xbox Live. No, not Xbox Live. What's the title of their Xbox line that is PC playable? I forget the name. We talked about it a few episodes back.
Play Anywhere.
Play Anywhere, that's the one. So it's one of the first big Play Anywhere titles, so it makes sense that it's going to be cross-platform play because they're trying to promote, the whole doesn't matter whether you have a PC or a console kind of angle. So there you go. That's it. Fair bit of news happening this week. It's starting to ramp up a little bit this year. We're hitting, the beginning of February and stuff's happening. It's good. It's good. It's like silly season way, way earlier than we normally get it. But anyway, let's talk about
Q1 games.
Let's talk about something a little bit less sort of big AAA focused, and move into a slightly smaller game that we've been playing this month as part of our party game of the month. So, party game of the month for this month, has been a little title called Devil Daggers. Now, I'll introduce it because I'm the one who actually picked it and got rolled up last month. So, Devil Daggers is basically a first-person... I hesitate to say shooter because you're really sort of throwing knives, but it's essentially the same kind of thing. It's
an FPS.
It is an FPS, yeah. So it's set in like a demonic hellscape where you basically play an unnamed character who is fighting off hordes of demonic entities from a single circular platform and basically trying to survive as long as you possibly can before the enemies overwhelm you. So... that's about all the description I can kind of give. Ollie, do you want to expand on that? Is there anything I've sort of missed, or is that pretty much sum it up?
Have you mentioned demons?
Demons, demonic entities, hellscape, it's all that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Have you mentioned the daggers?
Oh, yes, there is daggers. There are devils and there are daggers.
Good. All right, then we're set. We're done.
Skulls.
Lots of skulls. Yeah, lots of evil
Find the
ribbons.
devils.
Yep.
Skulls.
Yeah, so it's a fairly fast-paced game. Ollie, you can probably kick off talking about your experience while I just look up some of the key details about pricing and availability. So why don't you hit us off with some of the descriptor bits. So, you know, what's the game mechanics and style, setting, that sort of stuff. What did you get out of that?
Okay, so you have a hand. You shoot daggers out of it. And there are 3 ways of shooting daggers. You can have a stream of daggers. You can have a slightly auto-aiming stream of daggers. Or you can have a shotgun blast of daggers. So the preference is up to you. And each one has its own situational purposes, which is quite nice. Against those daggers, you have a variety of baddies. So the baddies are basically 2 categories, spawners, and then I'll call them gribblies for lack of a better term. And so spawners are very Cthulhu-esque tentacle tower things with a gem in them. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3, whatever. And they spawn these waves of cascading skulls. Now, some of these skulls are just regular, your average devil floating skull, whereas some of these are ram horn skulls and they act a bit differently. So every enemy has its own little pattern of AI. So the normal skulls come at you fairly straight on, whereas the horned ones try to circle around you and so forth. With the bigger enemies then, some of them combine, spawning stuff and attacking you a little bit. Some are just giant things that want to hurt you. But most of the time it's just going to be endless waves of skulls with a bit of variety. Now, to make things a bit even, those spawners, you can kill them. They have a little red diamond on them that if you shoot them, does damage with your daggers. To top that off, if you shoot those daggers, they come off, and you get a bit of power up from that. And eventually you unlock you do more damage, you get like an Uber mode every now and then, and it's very, very good game balancing in that regards. And the platform, I find, is just the right size. It's not big enough that you can just run away forever, but it's not small enough that you're constantly going, oh god, I'm crammed for space. So I think they've got a good little balance there.
Yeah, the game definitely encourages movement. I mean, in terms of it being an arena shooter, a lot of the foes that you fight only have one angle that you can really attack them from, which is where that red gem is. So, you can launch as many daggers as you want at them, but if you're on the wrong angle, you're not going to be doing anything to them. So you do need to sort of keep, doing laps and strafing as much as you possibly can to avoid the stuff that's trying to kill you, as well as actually get round to the, the vulnerable point of the big beasties. So... yeah.
Sounds really important when it comes to that part too. You rely heavily on good audio to know when something's approaching from behind you or to the sides or it's popped up in a particular direction, because it means you can react quicker. You might have to dart away in one particular direction because even though you can't see it, it's right there and it's about to hit you.
Yeah. So, I guess the only other thing to mention is that the real measure of success in this game is essentially your score. So you're building up your score as you play, and it's sort of predominantly time-based. So the longer you stay alive, the higher your score will tick up. And, actually defeating enemies in game, the purpose is basically to buy yourself more time and stay alive as long as you possibly can. The little red gems, as you sort of bust them off the creatures and collect them, they provide you with power-ups, and you sort of do level up as you progress during the game, and there's like a tier system where if you collect a certain number of gems, you sort of ascend to the next tier, and that it increases your attack power. Doesn't really give you any other abilities or anything like that. Like your controls stay the same essentially the whole way through the game, and you just basically keep working up like that. It's the kind of game that you would see a lot of sort of professional players online sort of showing massive scores and trying to go for world title sort of score results and that kind of thing. So we sort of set up a little competition between the four of us during the month, which Ollie soundly walloped us at. So
Woo!
I do Twitch shooters.
Yeah.
I participated.
Yeah. All right, look,
Get the
I stopped
dissect room.
playing. I think I could have caught you if I kept playing.
ooh.
Yeah.
I
Probably.
doubt it, because I would have kept playing as well, and it would
Nah,
have
mate,
escalated.
I cracked 100 seconds first, and I was like, well, yep, I'm good.
That's cool. And then I nearly doubled you. It's fun.
I thought Imogen's score was the most impressive personally because it indicated that she actually played, so that was great.
I tried.
Do you want me to read
super
out the-
hard.
I was
stuffs.
online for that.
Yeah. Read out the scores. Actually, just while you're grabbing the scores, I'll just mention that the game has gotten a very, very positive sort of user review average on Steam. It's overwhelmingly positive overall. Released on the 19th of February last year, so it's not too old. It's basically only a year, and it's currently $4.99 US to pick up, so not very expensive at all. It's a nice cheapie. So
A bargain.
yep.
Okay, so in fourth place, surviving for 45 seconds, we have Memo. Yay! Did it! You
45
did a
seconds
thing!
for life.
And you committed 33 minutes to get to 45 seconds.
You know, that
In-
was a challenge.
It was amazing to listen to.
In third place, Luke, who reached 104 seconds
Mm-hmm.
in his 1.6 hours of play. Next second is Moi. I got to 107 seconds.
Oh, just
with
beat me.
I know. With 79 minutes of play. And then Oliver topped the scores with 195 seconds after 3 hours of play.
Not bad.
Yeah, I'm ranked like 7,700
Oh, yeah.
something.
Yep.
Not that he's counting.
Not like that. It tells you. It tells you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's one of the cool features, which unfortunately I couldn't get working, but you guys didn't seem to have any problems with, which is that you can actually track yourself against your friends' high scores as well.
And you can watch their replays and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a
Yeah, we should
nifty
upload
feature.
those.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I won't be doing that. Yeah. But suffice to say, I mean, you probably got the indication from the way we've been talking. This is a really freaking hard game. So
Yeah.
I
it's
love
so
the
hard.
shit out of it.
yeah. All right. So
It should have a little asterisk after Devil Daggers that just says, Mimo will hate this.
I guess the only other thing
I
we haven't.
swear your original soundbite memo was, nope. Oh, I don't like that. Whoa. It was about the first 15, 20 seconds
that was
of the game.
pretty much it. Like, I jumped on and I was like, playing Devil Daggers A. I'm like, fuck this game.
Solid note.
And then I logged off so I didn't have to listen to Mimo swearing constantly. I'm like, I'm going to leave you to it.
Oh, the
like
horror.
a sailor.
I guess the only other thing we haven't really mentioned is the sort of the setting and the art and the sound and that sort of stuff. So I mean the art style for the game I would probably say is very, very dark because a lot of the sort of enemies that you're fighting are almost like a monochrome color scheme. They're not particularly colorful at all except for the bright red crystals on them. The single most colourful area is probably like the immediate circle that you're inhabiting because there's like a light that follows you around and, the daggers that stream out from you are a bit bright. But everything else is very drab and, the whole area is shrouded in darkness and you can only sort of see things when you approach them. If you're sort of off in the distance, they're sort of, in shadows. You can't really get a clear look at them. But the graphics are not, super, super modern. They're quite, they're almost pixelated, but not...
Almost
quite-
Doom-esque.
Yeah, like old school Doom maybe.
Yeah.
Talking about, maybe like Doom 1, but with a bit more
Yep.
finesse. So,
Yep.
yeah. I don't know. The source lighting is quite effective for some of the different effects in game. When there's certain things that drop little green gribblies, for instance, that sort of glow green and that sort of washes up on, some of the other creatures that are around the place. When you destroy stuff and it sort of flashes red, that glow kind of, splits out from the creature a little bit. But it's not overly complicated. It's certainly not an art-intensive game. I wouldn't say that at all. It's, effective in its simplicity, but it is quite simplistic in terms of the
I think
art.
that's so the game engine can cope with the sheer number of dudes on the screen more than anything else.
Yeah.
My computer struggled with that game at times. So.
Oh, there you go. All right, well, should we just get everyone's individual thoughts on the game then? So, Ollie, you mentioned that you loved the crap out of it. So what did you love? What were the highlights for you?
I loved the art style, because I like all things dark and horrifying, because I'm a bad person. I really like the sound effects, because they were really nice and distinct and actually played a part in the game. I really liked how the game actually played. Simple mechanics. Like, I really like games where it's, here's a simple rule or a mechanic that's really difficult to master, or it gets progressively difficult to keep on top of. So I really enjoy games like that. And yeah, it just, the constant I can do one better. All right, I'm going to do one better this time.
The challenge.
It's that challenge of, oh, come on, or that sort of thing. Like, I am very competitive, and so being able to compete against myself is always a good thing, because it shows your shame score. It's like, you died by this in this many seconds. Like, I'm going to do better now. So yeah, I liked actually everything about this game. I'm actually going to keep playing this game every now and then if I just feel like some mindless violence, and see if I can ever beat my best score. And then yeah,
Nice.
I would recommend. Give it 9 out of 10 demonic daggers. Devilry daggers. Devilry daggers.
Nice.
9 out of 10 spooky
Yeah.
daggers.
So how many out of 10 solid notes would you give it, Imogen?
100 solid notes. That's not saying that the game's bad. It's my personal preference for games. I think games that are difficult, I tend to lose focus on and interest in very quickly, because you do something and then you die and you do it again and you die. And there's only so many times I can do something and still want to play the game. The problem for me in this instance is it wasn't 10 minutes and then I die. It was 40 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds. And so it just got to the stage where I was just like, I don't understand. Like, and I'm trying to rack my brain for different strategies. Like, am I supposed to go over to that first? Or am I supposed to be focusing on this? Should I be running backwards the whole time? Like, I didn't realize there was 3 different ways of firing. I only thought there was 2. So I definitely found it incredibly challenging, and I was really trying. I had a goal of 60 seconds, like a minute. But I tried for that whole 30 minutes solid to do that. So if you think about how many times I can play a 40-second game in 30 minutes.
That's a lot. Yep.
That's a lot.
Just
I did it
over
a
30
lot.
times.
I died a lot. And there wasn't an opening. It wasn't, if I'd only just done this better, I literally got to a point, which is when Ollie logged on to Mumble, where I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I've tried everything, and it's just my reaction time. I'm not a shooter person anyway. And the creepy feet, don't like the creepy feet. There's like this monster that makes these like wet feet slap sounds, and there's like a big caterpillar-y thing that runs around. And it was like, nope, I'm out. What is that? There's a tentacle thing on the field. I'm down. Nope. I did not want to play. So it's not because it's a bad game. It's just my preference. And I can totally see why Ollie loves the shit out of it. So
It's like Doom, but not.
No.
I can appreciate, at least Doom I can appreciate, like, it's kind of fun and the music's awesome and you feel like a badass. I did not feel like a badass playing this game. I felt like a scared, small person with the ability to fling things at bad guys, but, the bad guys were like, ha ha ha, we're going to kill you anyway.
Yeah.
And that was my experience.
I think there's actually a big difference in that respect, because Imogen, I actually think that you would enjoy the hell out of Doom. Like, I think that would exactly be your kind of game, because you do feel like an absolute
I tried
god in
playing
that game.
Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like playing Doom. It's just I'm not great with accuracy. I mean, I don't play characters in Overwatch where accuracy is a big requirement because I'm not very good at it.
Yep.
I never have been. So that's okay. That's what this podcast is, because I said to Luke beforehand, this podcast is great because we all have different tastes, and this is supposed to be the segment where we get to play games we don't like particularly. So
Well,
I can wear that.
you got to push your boundaries and see what you have.
And I tried it. I could have loved it. Could have been my game of the year. You never know.
Yeah.
But
good on you for giving it a go. So I'm.
Yep, for a whole 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. I'm curious to see
it
where
was enough of a go.
where Jam lands on this, actually, because I know that we've just sort of had the two extremes almost, but what were your thoughts, Jam? Where did you sort of fall on this one?
I enjoyed it. I did like it, but I found that it's one that I couldn't play for any substantial length of time at any given time because it was headache-inducing.
Yeah.
Because I was focusing so hard. Yeah, it's really good. I miss the good old days where, the games never ended. You just failed. It always meant you'd have this amazing determination of your skill level at any point in time because there was always something to beat. It was really good fun. I liked the way the sound assisted how you played. I found it really, really useful. But yeah, I was just focusing so hard that I couldn't play for more than 30 minutes at a time. And then when I hit 100-second mark, I was like, yep, okay. I'm just going to stop playing this for a bit. And I unfortunately hadn't gotten back to it. That was about halfway through the month. But I can see myself going back to it just, purely so I can kick Ollie's butt. So it'll happen.
Bring it on.
It'll
The
happen.
competitive side wins always.
Yep.
Well, it's interesting. So, I mean, out of the three sort of, I guess, ends of the spectrum that you guys were sort of sat on, I think where I probably landed was probably closest to Jam. So I think Ollie, without question, enjoyed this game a hell of a lot more than I did, which was interesting because it's the one that I picked. But, honestly, like a lot of these picks go, like I didn't know a whole bunch about it when I wrote the name down. So it was one that I was sort of keen to experience. But I think that, for the similar reasons that Imogen struggles with some of these sorts of games, like FPSs are not my number one preferred genre. Like I do enjoy some first person sort of shooters. Arena shooters are something if the flavor is right, I really, really do love them. And the flavor of this one was quite good. And the aesthetic I loved, the sound I loved, the setting I thought was really, really cool. And the game mechanics I was a big fan of. Like it actually ran really, really smoothly for me. And I was quite impressed with how smooth the game was in general. But I guess the thing that caught me up on this was the difficulty level of the game meant that unless there was significant variety, it did get very repetitive if you sort of didn't progress very far. And if I had been better, I guess, it probably would have helped. I would have been seeing more of the range of stuff that you sort of get into in the game. But, the fact is that you do face the exact same enemies in the exact same sequence, in the exact same manner, unless you sort of, change your strategy massively when you go through in subsequent runs. So I don't think you get a whole lot new out of the game by repeatedly playing it, except for incrementally building on your score. And that sort of thing's fine in small bursts, but like Jam, I don't think I could play this game for hours on end because it would just get a bit too repetitive and not really offer anything new. But it is a solid game. I did enjoy it, and I will go back to it from time to time, but it wasn't quite as deep as I was hoping. I was hoping for a little bit more to it. If that makes sense. But that being said, for the price that it was, pretty good for $5. I think that was not too bad at all.
Solid game.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hold your hand, which is nice. It just throws you in there and it's like, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do I do the third attack, by the way?
Okay, so you have
There's like left
a
click,
constant stream,
which is
which
the
is
stream.
left click. You
Yep.
right click and it will auto track a little bit. And then if you tap left click, you get a shotgun blast.
Oh, so I can hold down left
Hold
click
down
and
both
right
your mouse
click.
buttons, you get like a semi-auto tracking thing. It's not like you face the other way and it'll zip around corners or anything, but it does just lock on a bit easier.
Damn it. That would have been handy. Well, maybe I'll give it a couple more goes and
See how you go.
if I'm any better.
Yeah.
I imagine you will, knowing that.
Possibly.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, that is Devil Daggers, and that is our party game review for this month. So that leaves us with a little bit of business to attend to before we wrap up this episode, and that, of course, is to choose our party game
God, I
for
gotta find my dice.
next month. All right. So let's put Jam on the spot this time. Jam, what is the conditions for our party game of the month, and how can people suggest them to us?
Damn it.
You got this, Jam.
It has to be available on PC because we don't all have all consoles. It has to be. I don't know what the price range was because it's kind of changed. We used to say $30.
Yeah, 30.
Is it $30?
Yeah, 30.
$30. American? I guess American. We have to be able to get a fair idea of the game within about 8 hours of gameplay. If it involves multiplayer, we prefer it to have online multiplayer instead of local because even though I ignored that rule for one of my choices, it's easier for us to do. And I forget. Was there anything else?
No, you did it perfectly. And you did, pick on Jam last time as well, Luke.
Did we?
Because last time she asked me
It was me
if that
last
was
time.
correct, and then you accused me of mansplaining.
Did you?
Yeah, so you definitely have put Jam on the spot 2 months in a row now.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah, but see, I don't remember, so he can just keep doing it.
I
and
don't.
I'll be
I
like,
don't keep
"What?"
track of these things. I
That's
thought it was
right. I
Ollie
keep a
last time.
continual tally. I keep a continual tally of the times Luke calls me up on shit. Don't worry.
No, that's
It's
cool.
locked in there. I never forget.
So on the PC thing, I think the important thing is that PC is a neutral platform that we all have access to. It doesn't matter if it's available on consoles as well, as long as it's not a console exclusive.
Isn't that what I said? Is he explaining
You just
me?
said PC. That's all. So we have played
Mansplain.
party games on consoles before too.
It's not mansplaining.
That's a
if you
freebie
don't have
soundbite.
a penis.
Is this what happened last month? I don't
All
know.
right. Anyway, Good Pigeon, let's roll it up. So Ollie, you got the random number generator. You got the thing.
I have a thing called a dicimacal.
All right.
You can hear it rattling in my
Dicimacal?
hand
Dicimacal.
Why is it rattling in your hand if it's just one?
because it's a cool dice.
He's
Are
cheating.
you made of metal?
I am actually made of
Probably.
a polymer acrylite
You're an automaton.
composite compound. I am an
He's
automaton.
Alloy Ollie.
I always suspected.
That's why my head's so shiny.
That makes sense.
All right.
All right.
Let's do it.
In true blind fashion, because I don't read the show notes, I have no idea what order everything's in. It's
He's the
great.
best.
Ask these
He's the
guys. I'm not
best.
actually lying. What is a 1? I rolled the symbol.
Oh my God, Ollie, it's yours.
Hey! Whoop.
What is that? Because I don't even remember anymore.
You suggested that we all play Antichamber.
Hey, that's actually a good game.
Nice.
Am I going to hate this?
No, you're going to love the shit out of it and maybe get high when you play it as well.
Okay, I've got the description. Whoa, okay, cool. I'm down. Antichamber is a single-player, first-person puzzle platform video game created by Alexander Bruce.
Great name.
Many of the
Can't go wrong
puzzles
with
are
a
based
Bruce.
on phenomena that occur within impossible objects created by the game engine, such as passages that lead the player to different locations depending on which way they face. So similar to Gorgoa.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Don't know what that game is.
I suspect that all four of us may like the shit out of this game.
I
I'm
know
gonna
I like the
it.
shit out
I'm
of
going
it.
to make,
so-
it's going to
it-
make me feel stupid. Puzzle
Gorgoa
games
was
make
the
me feel
artistic
stupid.
comic one. It was one with gardens in it that looks
Yeah.
the name that was like this one. I can't remember the names.
Yeah.
What was the name?
The puzzles, the Escher puzzles.
Yeah. No, Manifold Garden.
Yes, Manifold
Yes.
Garden.
Yep, due out
That was
hopefully
Manifold
sometime
Garden.
this year. Yep.
Mixed with Portal. This looks cool.
There you go.
It is a freaking cool game. My advice would be watch as few trailers as possible.
Cool.
Done. I've watched 0.
Now, from what I
I
understand,
win?
this game's available on iOS as well, isn't it?
I'm just looking it up.
I don't know.
It is.
I play on the PC.
Available on Microsoft, Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. So just PC.
Okay, just PC. Okay.
Mac.
Good to know. Cool. All right, so Antichamber.
Publisher is Demruth. So I can't see a price here. It's not coming up on my Steam app. So
$20 US on Steam.
10 out of 10 on Steam.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think
That kind of tells you
I
everything,
think
doesn't
this
it?
was one of the indie showcase winners for the first PAX Australia. So this might have been a 2013 game from back then.
It's 2013.
It's
You
pretty
are
old,
correct.
yeah.
1st of February. So it was released, oh my gosh, today.
Hey!
Wow.
4 years ago.
anniversary.
It's fate.
There
Fuck.
you go.
I'm fucking good.
You are
Ollie takes
so
all
good.
And it
the
was
credit.
number one
I'll
on the list
take
too.
Random
all that
dice.
credit.
Yeah.
That's my fucking
Holy
dice.
moly. It's meant to be. It's
Nice.
still $20 for a 4-year-old game. So, that's
Worth
that's
it.
a great indictment.
Cool. Sweet. I'm looking
I'm
forward
going
to
to
this
feel stupid. Yeah.
one. Nice.
That endorsement.
I love puzzle games, but when I don't get it and everyone's like, oh, of course, it's this thing. I'm like, God damn it.
The biggest hint I'll give you is it's not a traditional puzzle game. So I have a
Okay.
feeling either Luke and Jamie are going to be like, this thing's amazing, or they're going to bash their head against the wall.
Possibly both.
Frustration.
Can I
Possibly
bash
both.
Luke's head against the wall?
Acceptable.
Okay.
I
I'm
have
in.
a counter offer.
Nice. All right.
Just make sure you get on camera so we get mad ratings.
Yeah, violence.
Violence. All right. Well, anyway, if you want to let us know some more games to add to our list, following the guidelines that Jam mentioned before, you can do so by contacting us via the usual methods. So we can be reached at mail@partyloaded.com. You can hit us up on Twitter at Partyloaded Show. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/partyloaded. On Instagram, just search for Partyloaded. And you can also see us on our Steam group. Just do do a search for Party Loaded, and of course on YouTube at youtube.com/channel endgame. So there you go. You'll find all of our stuff there. Yeah, I nearly tripped myself up. Yeah, that's it.
Everywhere.
Yeah. No, we've got tons of other videos coming on the channel endgame YouTubes very shortly. We've had some sort of group gaming that we've done recently. We've got the next bit of PAX content, which I'm sort of wrapping up on the post production on to get out there as well. And yeah, that's going to be a big thing for the rest of the year ongoing. So make sure you subscribe and keep checking back there for lots of fun stuff. Yeah.
Jam and I recorded quite possibly the most confusing tutorial for Armello ever.
Oh,
so
yeah.
look forward to that, internet.
Oh, nice. First bit of Armello.
There's a preface that you have to add to it, Luke, because there's a funny thing we only realised halfway through.
Okay. Sounds like every other time you play that game, but that's cool.
pretty much.
Nice. All right, well, speaking of fun times, what's everyone got planned for games this week? Anything different and new? I would
Antichamber!
I would promise to play something new, but I really need to finish Yakuza. That game is just eating my soul at the moment. It's so good. Yeah.
You don't have one.
I'm slowly building an enormous tower in 7 days. So when you guys finally log back onto the server, you'll just be like, whoa.
I was online for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's getting taller.
I want to play more Last of Us and get it to a point where I need you guys to come over and help me finish the game.
Ooh, yes.
Due to emotional reasons?
Inevitable. No, sometimes I'm just going to get stuck in
Lots
games
of
that require me to...
Molotovs.
Yeah.
Molotov,
Okay, good
Molotov,
tip.
Molotov.
Solid tip.
Yeah, don't waste your Molotovs. You need to save them for some of the big fights. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good tip.
That's a great
Run,
tip.
run, Molotov. Run.
Just the tip.
Yep.
All right.
But the Molotov tip.
Yeah.
It's a Russian tip.
The Russian chip. All right, on that explosively flamey note, let's sign off for the evening, but we'll be back same time next week to talk about more of this game goodness. So for this week and this episode, thanks very much for listening, and good night.
Bye.
Bye.
More Molotov.
The Party Loaded podcast is a Channel Endgame production. For this and more great gaming content, bookmark channelendgame.com.